Hello, ASEA family. I hope you're doing fantastic. Today, I would like to share with you some of the most valuable principles you may ever learn to support you in building your ASEA business. And I would like to do so by introducing you to a remarkable young woman named Danielle Matthews. Danielle is in her 30s. She lives in Florida. She joined ASEA in October of 2015. Recently, she received the Business Builder of the Month award from the Chamber of Commerce in the city where she lives. And Danielle has built a fantastic ASEA business by understanding and leveraging the rhythm of the business. I love Danielle's story because it mirrors my own story in network marketing. I joined network marketing in 1993 as a product user only. But by attending events, I began to see the vision, and I made a decision that I would spend the rest of my life making a living while making a difference in network marketing. One of the first things I learned was the rhythm of the business and the concept of holding weekly presentations, which feed quarterly events, which feed into the larger annual events like convention and Envision. Danielle has mastered this very well. Some people say that weekly meetings are a thing of the past, but today, Danielle Matthews, a hip, young, fantastic young woman, is using them with great success. Please watch this great video with Danielle Matthews. Please take to heart what she is teaching. Please put it to work for you in your ASEA business. And I look forward to seeing you at ASEA conventions around the world. Make it a great ASEA day.
So my name is Danielle Matthews, and I live in Florida in a town called Melbourne, right on the east coast of Florida. And prior to ASEA, my background was in biology. I studied biology at school. I graduated, and I decided that I wanted to spend some time before doing more schooling to teach. And I joined Teach for America. I was placed in Denver, Colorado, and I started teaching 6th grade math to a largely Hispanic group of individuals out there. And I spent 2 years teaching in that school, absolutely loved it. And right after my 2-year commitment, I was unfortunately involved in a really bad car accident, and I sustained a brain injury that took my life and put it on a completely different trajectory. I tried a variety of different things to get me better. And after a year, I was told that my body had done all the healing it would do, and that this was simply my new normal. And fortunately, my parents and myself, we didn't accept that as truth, and we kept searching for answers. And my mom had a friend that was an acupuncturist, and she started using ASEA in her practice, and she suggested that I try it for my head injury. And I have to admit that with my background, I was a little resistant to it because I didn't fully understand what it was. And eventually my mom convinced me to start drinking it. Within 3 months of being on the product, I had symptoms that had been in my life for 2.5 years start to resolve, and I got my life back. I started out as a product user with ASEA, and eventually my mom convinced me to go to an Envision conference. And it was at this conference that I got to meet Tyler Norton, and I heard him speak on the ethos of ASEA. And I was blown away by what he was talking about from the stage, the importance of gratitude, when he brought out the children's book, The 3 Questions. It resonated with me so much because when I was recovering from my brain injury, all I had was the present. I didn't know how I was going to feel tomorrow. And I knew that all that mattered was in this moment and the people that I was with. And when he was talking about that, that's the essence of life. And that's what we're meant to do. And that was something he wanted to teach for this group in ASEA to integrate into their businesses and then their personal lives. I thought, wow, this resonates with me as an individual. And then throughout the weekend, I started talking with top leaders, people from all over the US, and I started understanding what this business model could do for me. And Trish, you got to understand, I was in a position where I was figuring out what I wanted and where I was going to put my time, energy, effort, and talents, because I work hard. And I realized in this business, I can work hard for myself and I can help a lot of other people. I naturally am a teacher. I love science, so the product that ASEA has obviously was something that excited me a lot, but it was the business model and this notion that work I'm doing now can help me in 5 years. You know, when I had my brain injury, I couldn't work, and therefore I didn't have an income. And I never want that to happen again. You know, you need to start working on your plan B before you need your plan B. And for me, this allows me to have something now that were my accident to happen again tomorrow, I'll be in a situation where I don't have to give up my independence. I can still live on my own. I'll be able to handle things. And as well, I'm 30 years old. I don't have kids right now, but I know that in the near future I will. And a business model like this is going to give me the flexibility to have the time to spend where I want it while still having a business. It was the vision that I caught at this event, and it allowed me to see the potential here. And I still have a note that I wrote to myself in my phone about just, it was like fireworks in my brain of everything that this could have the potential to bring to my life. And I made a decision right then and there that when I got to Florida, because I was moving, I was going to start this business. And when I moved to Florida, there was no one there that was doing ASEA. I knew one person, and I had been out of work for 3 years and basically out of life for 3 years. So I was working in a entirely cold market, but I knew in my soul that this is what I wanted to do, and it had the potential to take me where I wanted to go. And I just said, okay, every day I'm going to do something to move me forward because I see what this can bring me in 2-3 years. I'm a gold executive with ASEA. It took me 2 years to hit the rank of gold, and now I've been working on stabilizing my business at that rank. And honestly, when I got home from Envision, what I did was I took the success guide out of my kit and I went through it. And that got me thinking about what is the flow? How do you do this business? I was not born a network marketer. I did not know about network marketing until ASEA fell into my lap after my head injury. And I know, though, that it's simple to do. It's challenging, but it's simple. And I have found that the way to make this happen, to allow me to get where I want to go, is to just every single day wake up with a good mindset, take care of myself, get my attitude right, and start my day wondering who it is that I'm going to impact today and how I can inspire other people to reach for more in their days. And I had 20 people on a list in that success guide, and I just started reaching out to them. And I used, Alan Noble had Discover ASEA happening every week, and I acted as if he was hosting that presentation for me specifically and the people in my world. And so I invited to that event like it was his time being dedicated to Danielle Matthews. And it was just this rhythm of every week. Thursday was what I was pointing to. And so I was inviting people that I would come across. I was inviting people that were on my list. And I was making sure I had a very clear system to follow up. Because I had the philosophy of 2 per day. Trish, it was actually you that said 2 per day, I think brings freedom my way. And I said, okay, I can talk to 2 people a day. But that adds up. And so I needed to get very quickly an organized system to make sure no one fell through the cracks, because what we have is too important to not follow up with somebody. And once I had that system, which was a very simple binder, it had tabs from 1 to 31 and then January to December. And I would write a note when I met someone on a piece of paper, and they'd go in my binder. And I was very systematic about it. And I had a tracker to who attended an event. I followed up with them after the event and I said, what did you like? Do you see why I'm so excited? And we would move from there. 3-way calls and those weekly presentations are what allowed me to learn this business and be confident in what we had. Those 3-way calls taught me everything I know, so that when I got someone that wanted to do the business and all of a sudden I was the expert on the 3-way call, I knew how to do them because I had done so many with my upline. I mostly have worked in the cold market, so I have had to be very strategic in meeting people to add to my list. So when I moved to Florida, I joined the Chamber of Commerce, I joined women's groups, and I joined Business Networking International, BNI. And I made an effort to connect with other business owners in the community and start sharing my story. And what that led to was a lot of interest. People asking, well, how is it that you got well? And what is this technology? I've never heard of it. And I did, at the beginning, I'll be honest, I did not do a great job because I answered all their questions and I said everything. And then I realized, okay, that's not duplicatable. I have a degree in biology. I like to educate. I like to talk to people. Not everyone does. And so I realized the importance of pointing to a tool. And that became where I pointed to a presentation and I'd say, well, you know, I can't really do it justice here in this setting, but are you available on Thursday night? Because there's a gentleman that's been working with this technology for over 9 years and he can explain what this is and how it works. And then I can answer any questions you have if it's something that you want to integrate into your life. I typically lead with the product because I'm very passionate that people get educated and know this is an option out there. I know that people are praying for an answer because I was in that situation with my own health. And that's why I want to be a steward of this technology. But for me, it doesn't just end there. And I want to make sure people understand that we got two gifts from Virtus. And that is that he brought this technology to market, so it's available to us, but that he did it through network marketing, so that each of us can utilize that as a vehicle to create what it is we want in our life financially. And it's kind of an art, not really a science, to transition someone from talking about the product to talking about the business. But the way that I do it is by asking questions, asking someone, are you happy with what you're doing? You know, what are the challenges with your current work? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I get them thinking, and then I, of course, trickle in my thoughts, or they ask me back. And I start talking about time freedom and that this is a great plan B. This is in place. Residual income can replace something if I can't work. So I get them thinking through my own story as well, and get them introduced to people in the community that are doing this as a business, and it expands their vision. I mean, the best way to get someone interested in the business is to bring them to an event. Things started for me when I realized the power of a live event. I wanted to find a venue to host, and I eventually ended up connecting with a local gym that said I could come in every Thursday and basically add value to their clients and invite community members to come in. So I started doing that every single week. I'll be honest with you, the first time I had an event, there were 2 people in the room. But I was dedicated to doing it, and I knew that the more I invited, the more people would have it on their radar, and they'd be able to work it into their schedules. And then I'd have people sitting there, and I would say, who do you know that you wished had been here tonight? We're going to be here next week. You can bring them with you next week. So I modeled my live event after Alan Noble. I had listened to him do his presentation every week, and I basically just said, okay, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. And so I taught myself to do the presentation and to be able to get the gel on people and talk with people and answer questions, because my confidence had increased with all the three-way calls I had done. So I implemented what I had learned, and the event started growing. About 4 months into it, after doing these weekly events, it just happened that someone cross-line posted they were doing an event in Cocoa, which is very close to me. So I reached out because I had, up to that point, didn't know that anyone else in the ASEA family was in my area. And we ended up joining and having a large event where we had 40 people on a Wednesday and 40 people on a Thursday. And I saw the power of having that many people in a room. And I said, okay, we're going to use these weekly events to build up to big quarterly events. And we're going to get someone to come in as a guest speaker to this quarterly events. And I realized I needed a bigger venue. So I started asking contacts in the community, started really shopping around hotels, restaurants, finding a venue. Eventually I settled on the Chamber of Commerce had a space. And I used that because it was going to cost me money. I ended up charging associates that wanted to build their business and invite guests. We each paid $10. So together the venue was covered. Guests are always free to be able to come and learn. Now at the beginning, nobody knew who I was. My upline was not flying to Florida to help me out with an event. So I asked them to Zoom in. And I invited as if that person zooming in was there physically, because essentially they are. They can answer whatever questions, they can see the room can see them. And that's what we did. Until finally, I got up the courage to ask someone to fly down. And because he was dedicating his time and his energy to me, I invited like crazy to that event. And we ended up with 90 people in the room when he came down. And again, it just fed my vision. Once you do something, you get out of your comfort zone, it allows you to realize that you can do even more. And that's what's happened with the events. And so now we have a really strong rhythm, and the team knows everyone has a role at the events. We have greeters, we have people at the check-in table, we have people assisting with getting the gel on people, and we have roles at the end of the event, helping people enroll, making sure people have tried the product, getting questions answered. And so it's a well-oiled machine, and we have a system in place so that everyone is supported and guests get the best experience they can. So at these live events, the big ones that we're doing, the guest speaker comes in and is essentially the star of the show. We always start, the local team will start and welcome everyone and share that everyone's here for a different reason. And we want people to take whatever works for them and leave the rest. But we are going to speak to every aspect of this, from the business to the product to how it can help athletes or you with your health. So we set the stage, then our guest speaker will come in and they do their thing. They talk about everything from what is Redox to who is ASEA to what does it mean to be involved in this business. And at certain points, we don't want everyone to feel like they're just being spoken to for an hour, we break it up. So we do testimonials about 20 minutes in. And we get different people every time to give their testimonials. And I, as the leader down here, am very strategic in who I pick to do the testimonial. And it is someone that I want to get comfortable in the front of the room because they're going to be one of my leaders. And I want to make sure they can speak to a room full of people. And starting with their own story and their own testimonial gets them slightly out of their comfort zone. And it allows them to see the power in when they speak and they share the impact that it can have. So it builds their confidence. I'm very strategic with the testimonials and also making sure there's a variety of them. You know, it's not just all about, oh, when you rub the gel on, you know, there's relief. It's talking about what the liquid can do. And we make sure we cover all of our bases. Then we go back to presenting. We usually take a break and allow everyone to try the product. So we do the 3 times in 5 minutes. And typically has everyone come to the front of the room that's a guest, tell us where their discomfort level is. And then we hand them a tube of gel. They go back. They do 3 times in 5 minutes. 10 minutes later, they come back to the front. And it's incredible to see their faces. So we, at the front of the room, have these people that have a variety of different issues speaking about the shift that just happened. And some of them have disbelief on their face. And that speaks volumes. When people see the experience, you know, stories are what sell. And watching the story unfold right in front of your eyes, there's nothing quite like that. And that's why these live events really move people to action.
Okay.
We've had people that we've gotten to the front of the room that haven't had an experience. Their discomfort level is still an 8 out of 10, and they put the gel on. So typically what we'll do is we'll have them do another 3 times in 5 minutes, and we'll check back with them. So at the end of the event, the people that didn't have the experience within 10 minutes that went and did the 3 times in 5 again, he will ask at the end of the event for them to stand up at their seat and share if there's been a shift. And to date, everyone then after the second time has had a shift. When I decided that I was going to start building this business, I had no network marketing experience. And so I decided to be a student of the industry. And everything I kept hearing was the importance of events and the rhythm of your business. And it all starts, the foundation is in your daily activities. So I made it a point to never go to bed without knowing exactly what I was going to do the next day. My day would be structured. I knew who I was going to be inviting, who I was going to be following up with, and what event I was going to be sending them to. So I had a weekly event, be it was Alan Noble at the beginning, virtually on a webinar, until I got my own weekly event live that I started in my city. And that was the rhythm, weekly. Well, those weekly would then build up to quarterly, and those quarterly events would then build up to the corporate events that happen, either convention or the Envision conference. And if you keep that rhythm going, success is inevitable. Consistency knows no failure. So at this last Envision event in Salt Lake City in January of 2019, I had 4 different legs of my business represented. And the exciting thing was that some of my own personally sponsored had people they had sponsored there. And that has been something that I've held in my mind, that I want to not just go to these events by myself. I want to bring my team with me, and I want their people there. And that's finally started to transpire. So it takes time and it takes work in this business, dedicated effort, but you just keep holding the vision of what you want, and the right people come into your life, and you will get the team that you're envisioning start to form around you. All right, so let's talk about the duplicatable system, because in order for you to grow as a leader, you have to have a system duplicating in your team. And in my team, what I teach and what duplicates is this. The first thing you need to do is have a list of people. So we always sit down and have a list. People usually have a list of friends and family. Then they have a list of people that they want to talk about the business with, people that have health issues. You can organize your list however you want. Each person in my team is a little different how they organize. But where we go from there is we start inviting those people on that list to our live event. The live event is the thing that moves people to action the fastest from what I've seen. So we invite to the live event. Sometimes life gets in the way. Someone can't attend the day that we have the event. So we offer them a webinar, because the webinar, again, expands their mind, gets them in front of all of the information at once, and they can get their questions answered. If someone can't come to the webinar, only then do I teach my team to say, okay, well, I can send you some information. So I'm going to send you a video. It's 14 minutes long. You go to amazingmolecules.com, or they'll send them to amazingmolecules.net if they think network marketing will turn this person off. And they also send them, I've taught my team to send them to a testimonial site as well. If they're a Facebook person, it's a See a Healthy Self. If they are not on Facebook, I do not tell them to go teach the person how to get on Facebook. You don't want to waste your time with that. Redox Experiences is a great testimonial site. So those are the two things they get, and that's it. You don't want to overload people with information. So they get a video, they get a testimonial site, and then my team sets up the three-way call and says, okay, I know that Danielle will be available at this time or this time, which works best for you. And what I found is that when you give options, that's when people aren't deciding, well, do I want to get on this call? They're saying, oh, well, actually afternoons are better in my life, and let's try and go for an afternoon. I always tell my team, don't ask if someone wants to get on the phone with me. They don't know what's good for them. They have no idea what's going to happen on that phone call. And so you need to take the ownership of the situation and say, look, this is too important and I can't do it justice. I want to make sure you get in touch with the woman. She's an expert in this. She's been working with the technology for several years. She has a phenomenal story. I want you to hear what this has done for her. And she can answer all of your questions. This is when she's available. And I make sure they edify me because they have to take the trust that they have in the person they know and extend it to me. So this person is comfortable getting on the phone with me. So I realized very quickly that in order for my business to grow, I had to become the leader that I needed, and that my team could not ask my upline every single day for all of their phone calls. And that if I wanted my team to grow, I needed to become the person and be the person that they could go to for help. And so I just decided that I would be the leader of my business, and my business was up to me. If my upline could help, great. If they couldn't, that's okay. I would figure out a way. And through the rhythm of events, through consistently doing the same thing and then touching base with my teammates and making sure they're consistently doing everything every day, I know that in a few years, my business is going to be not just in the state of Florida, it's going to be across the US and be expanding worldwide. Sometimes I don't even have words to describe how grateful I am that this incredible company has entered my life and that I can allow my passion to be channeled into this and create the life that I want. It is amazing that even just now as a goal, I am able to travel when I need to travel. My sister is having a baby next week and I'm going to be able to go visit because there's not X number of vacation days that I'm having to manage. And while I'm visiting my sister, I have people on my team that are going to step in place to be able to do the weekly meetings because I've been coaching them. Ultimately, the goal is to be in the back of these weekly meetings so no one knows who I am, and my team is in place to keep everything going. And I am so excited for where this is going to take me. And I think the most incredible thing that I never anticipated is the people I've met along the way, not just in my business, but cross-line in other countries now. I have true friends, I mean deep friendships that I will have for the rest of my life, regardless of ASEA. And it is incredible to know that they exist. And I think this company just attracts bright lights around the world and some of the most positive people that I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. So I'd say that is kind of the cherry on top of everything that we have. And while I'm at my sister's, I am probably going to be doing three-way calls, meeting people out in Colorado where she lives. And all at the same time, I will be enjoying my family, getting to go hiking, getting to enjoy the mountains, and really living out my passion and the way that I want my life to look, which is time freedom. I am truly, Trish, getting to live the life of my dreams with ASEA.